did you want to apologize?
No, give him the floor.
No, go ahead. Do you want to apologize?
I don't want to apologize, but I see the argument that Casey is making.
Okay.
I can't give Harden the nod because he didn't do any winning.
Okay, boy.
And that's fair. That's fair.
Matt George, Locked On Kings, ABC 10. He's chugging Raisin Bran as he joins us here on the show. I'm sorry I couldn't get Katie to stay and you could do the show with her, but we appreciate you repping. Are you drinking 7-Up also?
7-Up's good too. Y'all are tripping. 7-Up is really good. Casey's right about that.
I'm sure 7-Up is fine. Like it's a lemon lime beverage. Like I'm sure it's fine.
Also, I will not tolerate Applebee's slander. Applebee's is great. Applebee's is Fiesta Lime chicken at Applebee's. Ooh, it's the best chicken I can go for.
I'm gonna be the first person that's ever done that regarding Applebee's.
Yeah, like Matt.
You need to apologize about Chevy's over there, bud.
Matt acted like there's a Michelin star on Applebee's.
Yeah, Matt,
I'm like Chevy's ain't good.
I know it's not. Hold on. I know Chevy's is not good.
You're wrong, sir. Chevy's is bomb. Happy hour at Chevy's.
Okay, now you're going over the deep end. I wouldn't say it's bomb. It's cool. And then you get the ambiance of Chevy's on the river.
All right.
All
right, ally. All right, you're on your own then. Screw you. Turn on me literally immediately, jackass. Thanks. Chair shot to the back. We didn't even get a shield run before you.
Oh my God.
Well, I switched profiles. We don't have it.
Oh no, I gave you.
I'm Cody Rhodes and you're John Cena. I see how it is.
I think I know what you're doing. You're trying to get me to take you to a nice restaurant. Like that's your whole.
Well, I mean, we had one of the freaking waiters come up at a Kings game and say, "Why haven't you taken me?" But it's cool. We lived next to each other for like 3 years, and you never invited me over other than once. But it's fine. No, it's cool. I don't care.
Okay.
What do you guys want to talk about?
I'll take you to a nice restaurant, man. It's something to get you to not do the chef's kiss for Applebee's references.
I'm going to Chili's with KC. F y'all.
That's what I'm saying. Look, man, and when we go to Chili's, man, just get the burger. You know, we don't need to venture into
chips and queso, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Matt, we're gonna take you and Brittany out. We're gonna take you. Are you making Brittany eat this food too?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
At the time she chooses it. She likes Chili's. She likes Chili's. She likes Chevy's too.
Okay. Again, now that we've
I don't live in the hills in Roseville where I can see the beam from my house or downtown Sacramento. So we got to
down on the city, man.
We got to eat amongst the commoners. We can't eat in like the 5 stars and at the compound or anything like that.
Matt, can you see the city from your home?
No, I absolutely cannot.
Just damn.
Not everybody can.
No,
Not everybody can.
And you talking about you going to gas stations like you pump your own gas? What you talking about?
Well, no, I don't pump gas. That would be extremely problematic. I went to get some Gatorade. That's what I did because this show was killing me, and I was doing it from home, and I was attempting to stay alive. So you're welcome.
You and 3 electric cars.
Matt George, host of the Locked On Kings podcast, ABC 10 as well. Matt, how do you feel? This has been a discussion between me and KC quite a bit today. Just vibes, just feeling after last night's loss to the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, I feel like today's opposite day because KC came in hot and I'm feeling pretty good about it. Like I was pretty optimistic. Like my first takeaway. Now I understand the fourth quarter and how everything went and how disappointing that was, but I was okay with it because you did your work ahead of time, right? Like you put yourself in a position to where a loss like that stings, but it doesn't kill you. That was kind of my whole premise. It stings because you would have rather, of course, had 5 straight coming home. But in reality, because you handled your business by beating the crap out of the teams that you should beat, like the shorthanded Mavs and the Utah Jazz, and then you had that really impressive win in Houston. Like a loss like this doesn't kill you versus even if this loss meant you went 500 on the road trip, 2-2, like that feels a lot different than a loss like this happening, but you're coming home 3-1 on the trip. I just think there's a big difference with that, even if it's only one win or one tick in the win column. So I'm feeling pretty good about how the Sacramento Kings played. I think they're playing their best basketball of the season right now. I mean, Doug Christie's got them top 5 in offensive rating, number 1 in defensive rating over the last 5 games. They've clearly figured something out. And now I'm just begging and pleading, like, can we see it carry over to home games? Because we've seen this before. We've seen the Kings play their best basketball on the road, but you got a lot of really, really important home games coming up here in March. Tomorrow being a big one, sure, but Sunday against the Clippers starts the stretch of death, in my opinion. Like, you got a lot of games in there against really, really good teams, but on your home floor, you play the way you were playing on the road. We know how much the Golden One Center is going to respond. Plus, my pessimistic guys, I want to see it in person. I want to see the way that they played during this road trip. I want to see it in person against a team to the quality of the Nuggets or the Rockets. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing that, and I'm okay. I'm pretty fired up with where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I was necessarily mad. It was a little bit frustrated. They had an opportunity last night, and they weren't able to cash in. As a whole, I like the way the team has been playing. I think they're starting to come into their own as with this particular group. But also, it's you got to win. Like, it's at the time we don't have enough time to. I'm not saying people are saying moral victory with this one, but we don't have time. Like, we had a bad night last night talking about the Sacramento Kings. That was a bad night. Can't afford many bad nights at this point in the season. And that's kind of what has me frustrated. I think they're playing well enough where they can steal some of these. I shouldn't even say steal. They can just win some of these games that some people don't think that they can. But every night is an opportunity, and man, it hurts when you don't take advantage of them.
Yeah, I understand completely with what you're saying, and I think under most circumstances would be echoing or agreeing with you completely. That's why I feel like it's kind of opposite day today, because going 500 on a road trip is like the standard. If you can go above 500, it's pretty good. And again, I just think about like an issue with this Kings team in the past, especially against below 500 teams, is not winning the games and handling the hell. They've even done it this season. They had an easy schedule in December. Like, when they were home for damn near the entire month, they blew it, right? They put themselves in a position to where they didn't pick up wins now, and now they have to pick up a lot of wins with one of the, if not the hardest schedule in the league. So we've seen this from a season as a whole standpoint, but under a microscope, these last handful of games, right? You beat the crap out of Charlotte, you beat the crap out of Utah, you beat the crap out of Dallas, you won a really, really, really hard-fought game in Houston, and you went down to the wire with Denver, and we're better than them for 3/4 of the night, if not a little bit more than that. And then you just fell apart and the wheels kind of fell off there at the end. You're 100% right. It's a wasted opportunity, but it's one that you say you can't afford a lot of them. You're right, but you could afford that one because of how you played up to that point. I guess that's, and I'm operating with the belief that that game is not going to be the end, even though it was the end of the win streak. It's not going to be the end of the way that they were playing. The way they're playing is going to carry over. They're going to start their own a new streak tomorrow night against De'Aaron Fox and the sorry San Antonio Spurs. Like, that's the belief that I have, is you carry the way that you're playing. You've been one of the hottest teams in the NBA since the All-Star break, right? They were one of 5 teams, that had a 3-game or more win streak. The other 4 teams with the Lakers, the Cavs, the Knicks, and OKC. Like, you're up there with the best teams in the league in terms of you're playing your best basketball right now. I need to see that carry over. So I'm operating with the belief, Casey, that loss was a bummer, but it's affordable because you're playing your best basketball, and that's going to carry into your home floor.
I believe the same thing too.
But it doesn't. And you two correct me if I'm wrong. It all depends on what they do now. Like, you can afford the loss, Matt, if you beat San Antonio, and right. I'm kind of with you. That Clippers game is super important, and then you kind of deal with, whatever happens after that on the second night with the New York Knicks. And, you got the Warriors after that, which is going to have some kind of do or die importance to it, I think, in my mind, as it, goes to the 6th seed. So, in the micro, in the microwave, in the vacuum, it's not bad. All right, it's fine. Yeah. But we could examine this a lot differently if they wind up losing 2 of the next 3 or something like that. And the killer part is you both laid out, and DeMar talked about it. You had 2 guys out. You had 2 starters out. You had 2 of your most important components out. You had it. And you let it go in the final 12 minutes.
Well, I see a comment from the chatty house, and I get where it's coming from, like me personally being kind of prisoner of the moment. And I understand that, except make no mistake about it. Like, I still am skeptical about this team's ability to make the playoffs. I would still not put my money on this team making the playoffs outright. Not the play-in. I think they're a play-in team. I think the goal is 7 or 8, but they've worked themselves back into a position where 6 is very achievable, right? And they, like I said, right now they're playing their best basketball of the season. So what you're not going to see me do is you're not going to see me react negatively to the way that they're playing just because I want to be right over I want the team to be accurate and successful. So the Kings are playing really good basketball right now. It doesn't mean that I think that's going to carry over when they take on the Cavs, the Knicks, the Celtics, and the Thunder over like an 8-game stretch, with some of those being off of back-to-backs. Like they're going through a stretch where they need to play as well as they're playing right now to have a chance, not just to win those games. They need to, if they're not playing this way, the Cavs are going to wipe the floor with them. If they're not playing this way, they're going to go 0-2 in that back against Boston and OKC. So what I'm seeing, I've been asking for a lot of what I've seen over this road trip. Now I'm asking for it to carry over. So that's where I'm saying my pessimistic eyes, I want to see it in person. And I want to see this Kings team do something that they really haven't been able to do over the last couple seasons, which is take the momentum that they've built for themselves on the road and bring it home with them. We don't know. It's unexplainable. Mike Brown used to say, like, I don't know if we're relying too much on the energy of the Golden One Center crowd or what it was. But this Kings team has consistently been the best version of themselves on the road when they have to create their own energy. Doug Christie talks about the faceless opponent. I'll take it one step further. Not only are you going to play every single team the same way, regardless of who's playing or who's not, or what logo is on their chest, you need to play the same way no matter where you are and bring the same energy, no matter if a crowd of 18,000 are behind you or if 19,000 are against you. That's what this Kings team needs to do. And we're seeing the foundation and we're seeing the building blocks to that. So that doesn't have me making a 180 on my belief of this team, but there's progress that's being shown. Again, top 5 in offensive rating, but number 1 in defensive rating. And the guys, the Kings are consistently getting off to really good starts in these games, which is a complete 180 from what they were doing. They were getting off to slow starts and allowing their the opponents to build confidence. Now they're getting off to strong starts and building confidence themselves. Over the last 5 games, the Kings are outscoring their opponents 30-23 on average in the first quarter. They're setting the tone, and defense is creating offense. Whereas Doug Christie has this group doing what they have not been able to do really at any point this season, and were barely able to do it at times last season. So now you see it. You know they're capable of it. And I think there's a clip of Doug Christie at one point. I think it was on the run. He said, "You guys effed up now because you've shown me that you can do it. So now I'm going to hold you to that standard." So that's where we're at.
So you've forgive me if I'm making you answer something that you've already said, but I want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you believe this is real? Do you believe that this team can sustain this level of play? I know you think they're playing well right now, but is it just a in the moment thing? Like you think they're good right now in the moment? Or no, this is kind of who they are. They are a good basketball team, maybe better than some people thought originally.
So, Casey, you tell me if this is a cop-out answer, and you can be completely honest with me, because I think they're showing that it's capable of being real. Like, they're capable of playing this way. But are they going to play this way when they're punched in the mouth? Right? Because these teams coming in are going to punch them in the mouth. Can they play the same way and battle through it? Because everybody knew Denver was going to make a run last night. And it sucks that the 11-2 run came with Nikola Jokic off the bench. And yes, the officiating was atrocious last night for sure. And that had a major impact on things kind of falling apart. But the Kings had 17 points and 1 assist in the fourth quarter. What I really didn't like about that game is not that it's a dig on DeMar DeRozan, because I don't think DeMar DeRozan played bad last night at all. But once again, the Sacramento Kings went back to isolation heavy ball down the stretch, and it wasn't working for them. When we've seen this Kings team get into a battle, get into a fist fight with teams, they go ISO heavy. Now they have really good isolation players that sometimes it works out. Sometimes DeMar will carry you through. Zach LaVine hit some stupid shots last night. He had a turnaround mid-range jumper. You're like, no. Oh my God, that was great. But like, if you're going to go, if the game's within 2 or 3 points against Cleveland and Sacramento down the fourth quarter, I understand wanting to give the ball to DeMar DeRozan and say, go and win us the game, big guy. But I don't know if this team has the capability. I don't know if Doug Christie is able to call a timeout, bring these guys together and go, can we move the freaking basketball a little bit more? I know you need big shot makers. And I'm not talking about like the last 30 seconds of a game, Casey, because that's when it's pretty much, give the ball to me, clear out, and let me go to work. But the game, the entire fourth quarter, the Kings had 17 points and only 1 assist. That's 12 minutes of not moving the basketball. So I want to see when the Kings get punched in the mouth, when they get into these circumstances consistently, do they fall back into kind of their old ways, their instinct, or do they continue to play together and play the type of basketball that they've showed they're capable of over this 5-game stretch?
I thought one thing that hasn't really gotten discussed a lot today, because we've talked about the non-Jokic minutes, we talked about, kind of more of the aspect the Kings having this. I thought Doug and that Kings staff, that Kings coaching staff, I thought they had a hell of a game plan
100%.
for Nikola Jokic. You saw Keegan Murray out there on him. They were basically challenging everybody else.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a hell of a call from that coaching staff. It was pretty damn effective, especially as Matt just pointed out. You got beaten the non-Jokic minutes. So like that's tough, man. But it's lost. It's lost in the result of the game. But I thought Doug had one of his finer coaching performances last night.
For the first time, like for real, I was ready to remove the interim tag last night. I was like, he completely outcoached Mike Malone the first half of this game. Arguably the first 3 quarters, like completely outcoached him. Like what you did is you put together a more than sound game plan. It sounds simple. It sounds straightforward for talking heads like us that can put a game together on paper, but to actually execute it is a completely different thing. But to force the Nuggets, who are one of the weaker 3-point shooting teams in the league, to beat you from the perimeter. Look, tip your freaking cap. Russell Westbrook hitting 4 threes. Okay. Like that sucks, but okay. He hit a number of like wide open threes, wide open shots that he is inconsistent at best at. Unfortunately, Russell Westbrook has killed the Kings a number of times like that over the course of his career. But like that's
crazy about him. That's why if y'all put some respect on his name, maybe he wouldn't do that to us.
Hey, don't be doing that, because I've always been a Russell Westbrook supporter, just not when he's hitting 4 threes against the Sacramento Kings. Damn it! But you live with that. That's one of those ways that you go into you get on the plane and fly home at the end of the day if you're Doug Christie and that coaching staff, and you go, well, it worked, and somebody else beat us. That's the NBA.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. But like, I also watched that game last night, and I thought, like, not to take a dig at Denver, but I'm like, if like Western Conference playoff teams watching, I'm not saying the Kings because they're not in this group yet, but Western Conference playoff teams watching are probably looking at the Denver Nuggets and going, that's the team I want to take on in a best of 7 series. I don't think Denver's that good. I think they've got they're very, I mean, obviously Nikola Jokic heavy, but they're pretty one-dimensional offensively. It's Jamal Murray knocking down threes, maybe. We know he's a big game guy. And then Nikola Jokic doing his thing. So, and I thought the Kings recognized the weaknesses of Denver and forced them to beat the Kings with those weaknesses. And you know what? Denver did. And 30 free throws to the Kings 14.
Casey, real quick, here's a little kick to the groin for everybody.
Oh, great.
Dallas lost by 3. Knicks lost by 27. Celtics lost by 12. Those are the 3 other games this season that Russell Westbrook has hit 4 threes in. He's done it 4 times. They are 1-3 in those games. And to be clear, 4 of 7, 4 of 9, 4 of 7, 4 of 6.
Damn.
That's D'Lo's fault.
Get your boy. What are his point totals in that? 25, 26, 27, and then 16. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, man.
That sucks.
He was really good last night. And like you mentioned, Matt, and
he has way more games where he's hit 0 threes than where he's hit 4.
Yeah, 4 is crazy. 4 is like,
or 3 for that matter. If you 3 or more, in fact, you might be able to go 2 or more and still he'll have more games with 0.
Like Curry hitting 11, him hitting 4.
Yeah,
you're never taking that in prize picks. You're never taking that in prize picks.
Pretty
but
much.
You guys mentioned it and we talked about it earlier. I mean, that's the game plan. Jokic gets that ball, you might want to double down, start to swarm him a little bit, leave Russell Westbrook and a couple other guys open to hit the threes. And he hit them last night. And you got to tip your hat. And Jeff Van Gundy would say this, and a lot of coaches would say, but with good teams like Denver is, like I'm with you, Matt. I don't think they're as good as people are saying, like championship, but they're still a good team with some really high level players. You can't take away everything. You're going to have to give up something. And they decided to give up Russell Westbrook threes, those type of looks. And he buried them last night, man. And you just tip your hat. And like you said, you move on to the next
Decided
game.
to give up Jamal Murray free throws too.
Well, those were taken. The ref said, here. We're taking those from the Kings.
Help yourself, guys. Help yourself.
Can we talk about that real quick though? Because this has been a big issue since Doug Christie took over, is the amount of fouled 3-point shooters. But a lot of it's happening because the Kings are just trying to aggressively close out. And Jonas Valanciunas cemented himself as a true Sacramento King last night because he fouled a 3-point shooter. Keon fouling Jamal Murray, it was an aggressive closeout. So it was a bummer, but like I can live with that. What I couldn't live with was that Keon wraparound steal attempt on Nikola Jokic. Even if people watch it back and they're going to defend Keon because Keon is a man of the people, maybe he got ball, maybe he didn't. The officiating was trash last night. It was inconsistent. It was ticky-tack, and it was going heavily in the favor of the Denver Nuggets. So you tried to gamble for a steal on the biggest star on the floor in that moment and give the referees an opportunity to make that call. That to me was, and this is not like an anti-Keon thing, because Keon, I made the comparison of like Keon is like the defensive version of Malik, right? Malik offensively, he has these passes, he has this flair, he has these finishes. It's chaotic. I love it. But every once in a while, that chaos kind of gets you. But more often than not, it's good chaos. Keon gambles for steals. More often than not, he gets them. But when he doesn't get them, it puts him out of position, or it can hurt the team. This is one of the things I know for a fact Mike Brown really didn't like. Now, Mike was wrong. Keon absolutely should have been playing and not be getting DNPs. But that was a moment where I felt Keon showed his youth a little bit. Keon showed his lack of experience. You're going for that steal. If you had pulled it off, great. You also would have poked the ball away when everybody else is running back the other way. Even if you poke that ball away, you're not getting it. You're behind Jokic. So it just is an unnecessary play to make in a situation where you read the circumstance, you're not getting foul calls. DeMar DeRozan is getting chopped at the wrist every single time he goes up the floor. He's not getting any foul calls. I just thought that was a good learning moment for Keon. They didn't lose the game because of it, but that's a moment where it's like, oh, Keon is this good, but he still is building that experience. 2 years from now, when Keon's signing a new pretty nice contract, I expect that to be, but hell, I expect he and Doug Christie had a conversation about that on the plane on the way home.
That fouling on the three, that was the one that frustrated.
That's right. We do that a lot.
Yeah, they
do. Like once or twice a game.
We go to the game, like last time we were there, I think they had 3 in one half.
League leaders.
Once or twice a game.
Fouls.
Yeah, they got to stop that high five thing, because that's a foul.
Well,
I don't know why that's even a strategy, and I think that's my boy Luke Louts. That's my boy, but you can't hit somebody's hand when they're shooting. They can't. I think legally, maybe he's like, no, you can, as long as it. No, that's a foul.
Well, from what I understand, the idea is what Keon hit the hand/wrist of Jamal's, not his shooting hand, but his supporting hand, his offhand. Right. What I understand the high five to be is that you close out and you contest it enough to where after the follow through, when your hand is in the you can't really see it on camera, but when the hand's at the top of the follow through, you can slap the hand on the way by. Like that's essentially what I mean is you're not making contact, doesn't change the circumstance, but a good closeout means you're on the path of putting your hand in the direct path or the direct way of the shooting hand to either make contact with the ball or try and change the shot as much as you possibly can. That's my understanding of what a high five closeout is. It's not you hit the hand every time somebody shoots, and because hand is part of the ball. At least I think that gets lost in translation. It could be my interpretation is wrong, but that's how I've always interpreted the high five closeout.
Well, just stop hitting the other guy as you're high-fiving the closeout.
Or just block the shot. You just start there.
Well, you do that. You think you can make sense of Jake LaRavia as a basketball player for Sacramento?
No.
I mean, flurries of points every once in a while.
Jake LaRavia is that perfect, like, King fan favorite to where, I mean, you remember his debut, right? He burst onto the scene, had a steal and like 6 points in 30 seconds. What do you have? 7 or 8 points in 30 seconds last night? Like big burst and then kind of whatever. Jake, like I was disrupting my coworkers because I was yelling at both Jake and Zach LaVine at the end of that game to someone shoot the damn ball because they passed it back and forth between the two of them on the perimeter like 4 times. Credit to Denver. Like they did a really good scramble drill there to make sure. But Laravia had to either take that first shot or swing it over to Keegan Murray, who had nobody on him at the top of the key, and they just passed it back and forth, and that was frustrating. I don't know I know Laravia had a good game. I don't think I would have had Laravia on the floor there at the end, but like the reality is with Jake Laravia, like
real quick, to be fair to Doug a little bit, Keon was at the scorer's table for a while. I want to say maybe 2 minutes. And I don't know if he was going in for Laravia, but I remember seeing him and if you're trying to get him in, call a timeout.
Yeah.
But he was there for a minute. So maybe he was coming in for Laravia.
But also if Jake Laravia plays well, he's gone. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but y'all know that, right? The Kings can only give him so much money. You almost want Laravia to be just fine so that the market value means he can just stay in Sacramento. Because if he plays well and makes an impact on this team, yeah, he's getting way more money elsewhere.
No, that's fun, Matt. Thanks, man.
Sorry.
No, it's great.
Reality.
It's great.
I don't think the Kings will have to worry about that. And Laravia is a good ball player, but I don't think he's going to play to the level where it'll be out of their price range.
Yes.
Also, let's not marry ourselves to Jake Laravia right now.
No.
Let's
keep dating.
Let's play. Yeah. This wasn't a love at first sight situation. we don't need to plan the wedding. It's all right. It's all right. I know Kenny likes to sign guys. We already want to sign Valanciunas to an extension.
Shout out JV. Hey, man,
I'm there. I'm there.
And let's talk about that. He has been terrific in the absence of Domantas Sabonis. That's why you go get a player. Obviously, you do it to complement Domantas Sabonis and add some depth, some quality depth to this roster. But this is always your worst case scenario. If something happens with Domas, do you have a guy to fill in? And for Sacramento, the questioned answer is they do in Jonas Valanciunas.
I mean, I think the Jonas Valanciunas move has in many ways saved the season, in my opinion. And it might save the job of Monty McNair and by extension Wes Wilcox. Now, Casey, you did a segment earlier on this week. I watched it back on YouTube. I saw the title; it immediately made me angry. But I listened to it; it was a good conversation. You were talking about has the Kings front office done more good than bad? And I listened to the conversation. I was thinking about it, and we don't have to go too far down this rabbit hole. But essentially my takeaway from that is of the moves that they've made, the majority of the moves have been good. The problem is they sat on their hands too much and didn't make a lot of moves when they should have been making moves. But anyway, back to Jonas Valanciunas. That was one of the moves that sometimes as a front office, you can do what's popular or you can do what makes sense because it makes you don't always have to pull a blinder past us. You don't always have to make a move that nobody saw coming, right? You can make the move that's there for you. And Jonas Valanciunas made a ton of sense. And you use the assets that you both had and acquired as part of the Fox trade to go out and get it done. I think that Jonas Valanciunas' move was tremendous for the Sacramento Kings before Domantas Sabonis' injury. And it's really paying dividends now. But even before Sabonis was injured, y'all, the Kings were winning games where Kings won a game where Sabonis played 28 minutes. Kings have been winning games where Sabonis played 32, 33. You know how much Mike Brown or anybody would have killed to only have to play Domantas Sabonis low 30s minutes-wise per night? That's what Jonas Valanciunas gives you. And then in the event that you lose Sabonis for a week, and hopefully it's not much longer than a week, Valanciunas can hold down that spot. Now, make no mistake about it, because I see people getting their stuff off, and you're dead wrong. Jonas Valanciunas is not better than Domantas Sabonis, and the Kings are not better with Sabonis not playing. If Sabonis were out for a month or 3 weeks or more, if Sabonis is out for a lot of these games that they have coming up against these top teams, Kings are in trouble even with Valanciunas. Sabonis is one of the best, if not the best player on this team. But for a week, or maybe a little bit more than that, and I know hamstrings are tricky, he can hold it down. He's a more than capable big man who had almost an identical stat line to Nikola Jokic last night. He can get the job done. And that's something that the Kings have not had for a long time. No disrespect, Alex Len.
Oh,
I like Alen, but
I like Alex.
Close.
I don't even think Lakers fans like Alex Len. That's what KC said.
No, Jesse said that.
Oh, Jesse said it. Yeah, Laker Nation not feeling Alex Len.
Or Alen.
They're 11-2. Relax, guys. Calm down. You guys are doing just fine.
What are they complaining about?
Leave our boy Alex alone. Alex out there living his life. You feel good overall though, 3-1 stretch. Like you said you weren't super down after the loss. Tough that they had it, but overall the response to whatever took place in that meeting after the Warriors game seems to have been pretty positive. Even in a close loss against Denver last night without two of your starters.
Yeah, the best way I can sum it up, D-Lo, is I've been pleased and been happy with what I've seen over the last couple of days, but it's also setting up to where if it doesn't carry over and it just disappears when in these big games against the Golden One Center, I'm going to be even more pissed off than I was before, because we know you're capable of it. Like, go out and do it. Yeah. Do it consistently. That doesn't mean you're going to always beat every team. Like, you can, if you fight hard and lose by 5 to the Cleveland Cavaliers at home just because that team is in God mode right now, okay. But don't be changing up what you're doing now that you're at home. Like, certainly don't lose tomorrow night against De'Aaron Fox and the Spurs. Like, I understand Fox is coming in, he's pissed off and everything like that. That Spurs team is whack. Like, you should wipe the floor with that team. Let Fox get his 40 points, whatever. Stephon Castle shouldn't be beating you in addition to that. Like, Devin Vassell shouldn't be beating you in addition to that, even if the Kings wanted to go and trade for those guys, or I at least did. Like, go out and handle your business, wipe the floor with the Spurs like you've been wiping the floor with all the teams that you should be beating. They've been doing a really good job with that in the Doug Christie era. Handle your business in those games that you should, and then starting Sunday in Los Angeles, fight like hell. Like, I know James Harden went for 50 last night, still really boring, but like, I'm okay with the Kings' chances against the Clippers in whatever the hell the name of the stadium is. Because Intuit Dome or whatever with the wall, I'm okay with the Kings' chances in that game if they play the same way they've played in Houston and Denver. Very okay with it.
I agree.
Boo De'Aaron tomorrow.
No, don't do that.
No, boo him. He took Rachel.
Don't do that.
Rachel's with us.
Yeah,
don't do that.
That's not okay.
No.
That is not okay.
Boo. Why are you booing De'Aaron? Because he took Rachel from D-Lo and KC. He took Rachel from Sacramento. He deserves to be booed for that. Nothing else.
Upset.
Good for Rachel, though.
No, always good for our girl.
Rachel's a great photographer to work with.
Yeah. Oh, got
it. yeah. She like a lot of the stuff that you would see on the run, she was responsible for that.
She took some. Yeah, she did a lot of that. She took some great pictures. I remember that there was one picture of the beam that like was hitting the moon or something. Mm-hmm. She said she was leaving. She looked up, saw it, ran back, got her camera, and got that iconic picture.
She's been doing her thing for a couple of years.
And she's great. And De'Aaron's ass took her. So boom.
Damn Fox.
Bonte is coming down here to boo De'Aaron Fox.
You kind of alluded to it a little bit. I want to ask you real quick before we get out of here. You think Doug Christie's done enough to be the permanent head coach?
So I'm talking about this on my pod that drops right when the show ends. I think there's a dilemma. And it's not anything to do with Doug. I think Doug is more than I tweeted it last night and I stand by it. I don't know if there are many of the 29 active full-time head coaches in the NBA that could do for Sacramento what Doug Christie has done. Doug Christie has kept this group together through a lot of what. Like, he's done a fantastic job. And that's what this Kings team has needed. Are there questions about X's and O's and things like that? Sure, but every coach has a weakness, right? There are a lot of good X's and O's coaches that can't keep this locker room or a locker room together and have struggled to find footing in the league because of it. So I think Doug has done a phenomenal job. His record speaks for itself. Hopefully that can carry over to the rest of the season. But if there is any consideration, really the best case scenario is something that I'm not too fond of, but honestly, it is the best case scenario, which is Doug gets the interim tag taken off. He's the full-time head coach, and this front office stays put. And that's probably because the Kings made the playoffs. So if that happens, okay, I can live with that. But I'm concerned about you going into an off season where, let's say you're out in the play-in. Let's say you finish 13th or 14th in draft odds. You don't have your pick. Like, are you considering a new front office? Well, if you're doing that, and you're forcing the new front office to take on Doug Christie as their head coach, which it's not an anti-Doug Christie thing. It's now the third time in the Vivek Ranadive era that you've done this. You did it with Mike Malone, Pete D'Alessandro. How'd that play out? You did it with Luke Walton when Monty first came in. How did that work out? So the dilemma that I have is more with the history or a pattern repeating itself in Sacramento that typically doesn't work in sports. Hiring a head coach before a front office typically does not work in sports. So I'm a little concerned about that aspect, but does Doug Christie deserve to be the head coach based off of what he's done? 100%.
You want the front office gone, though, don't you?
Yes. Yes. But if they make the playoffs, like I'm ready to say wrong, and I'll give them the credit for what, like the Jonas Valanciunas move, fantastic. I think the moves that the Kings have made at the deadline were for the most part really solid, but they might have been too late, 2 years too late. So we'll see.
It's going to be a little ruckus in there tomorrow night, isn't it?
Oh, it's going to be fun. But like I initially thought that it was going to be like, okay, there'll be some boo birds, but it was going to be primarily positive. But when they flashed the graphic and the Hornets game, and the impulse reaction was a boo, right? Like premeditated is one thing. Everybody going to the Golden One Center is already thinking about how am I going to respond when Fox is introduced. That was a spur of the moment. Kings are up like 30. And you look up on the screen, Fox's picture shows up, and the impulse reaction of that crowd was to boo. Like that speaks volume to me. I think it's going to be a passionate fan base for sure. I'm looking forward to going to shoot around tomorrow morning and hopefully talking to Fox a little bit, and we'll see. I think Fox can let Fox get his 40. Kings can still
call me.
He's already done that. He's already done that.
I think it'll be 80-20. Cheer, maybe even 85-15.
Yeah, I think it will be too.
You guys, I don't think you'll be able to hear him on TV.
I don't think so either.
Just don't boo the tribute video. I'm fine with booing everything else. Just don't boo the tribute video. Let the man have his moment.
Boo anyone else who might get shown on camera, but just Tieren's good.
Don't boo Harrison Barnes. Be nice to Harrison Barnes.
Oh no, you never boo HB.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if also we're seeing Royale return tomorrow night? I'm speaking it into existence. Royale is going to be
wearing
returning.
those stupid jerseys again tomorrow.
Oh, I know. I don't know, but they've been teasing
the mascot De'Aaron killed off.
They've been teasing the return of Royale, but I don't put your head down. Like Royale is misunderstood. And I have like this wrestling angle where you're in the middle of Fox's tribute video, and then it like static cuts out, and then
amazing
Royale cut it. Like an Undertaker. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? It's gonna be the best thing ever. Or like you have during the intros, the light turns off, and this hooded figure comes out and stands next to Fox, and then throws his hood back, and it's Royale's big ugly head.
I love this.
I have these ideas in mind. But
I love all of this. You've killed it. You have got you've got 45 seconds to tell us what you think of John Cena's heel turn.
Oh, so good. So freaking good. Who like give the cameraman, it might have been Stu, the main guy, but whoever got that angle, the perfect corner angle of Cena's face. But also I've watched it back like 3 or 4 times. Cena's having so much fun. There are a couple of times where his lip starts quirking up. Like I think he's having fun. I'm excited to see where it goes.
He's doing a great job. He should.
I'm for bald Cena heel. I'm all for bald Cena heel.
So great. I can't. I mean, does he come out in all black or like what does he do? I can't wait to find out. Matt, we'll see you tomorrow night at the Golden One Center. Thanks as always. Go check out the Locked On Kings podcast on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts from. He's going to drop a new episode right now, and we will see you tomorrow here beginning at 10 a.m. It's a packed Friday as always. Sacramento sports leader, ESPN 1320.
Congratulations, McClatchy.